It's good to see you. Good to see everybody. I look at the attendance chart, and I'm seeing lots of names from around the continent and around the world. And it's a very great honor and pleasure for me to be here. 10 weeks on this journey is not. That's some massive consistency there. Whoever has reached this finish line, that has been some real consistency there. And I celebrate you. And as Satokwe said, it's important to celebrate yourself. I want to thank you guys, Mission Enablers, for putting this together and for inviting me. All right, so my topic tonight is very simple: media and technology in missions mobilization. Trying to explore where does media come in, where does technology come in, and how do we advance what we do in mission mobilization. Over the last 10 weeks, we have heard different speakers talk about mobilization and what it is and how it's done and all of that. So I'm just bringing the technology end to it this evening. And technology in itself, let me leave mobilization first. Let me talk about tech. And so I happen to be in tech in the marketplace. And like we say, technology is not a business. It's not a sector. It's not an industry. It's only an enabler of industries. So for technology to be active, for tech to be active, it has to combine with an existing sector to give meaning and to give substance to it. So there was finance, there was technology. Technology came and joined with finance and created what we call fintech today. And I'm sure if you are within the African continent, that is one of the biggest buzzing words today: fintech. We had education. Technology came to meet education to create what we call edtech. We had health in itself as an industry, and we had technology coming to combine with health to create what we call health tech. So the point I'm trying to make is, on its own, technology is neutral. Technology is like money. They tell us money is neutral. Money only takes the shape of whoever is holding it. And so when money is in the hands of a bad person, money is bad. When money is in the hands of a good person, money is good. And so technology is the same way. You can use it to do anything really you want to do. But so we are asking the question today. We are mission mobilizers. We understand the Great Commission. We understand what God has called us to do in terms of reaching the nations with the gospel. However, when we bring technology to it, in what ways can we bring tech? What impact will tech be making in missions and in mobilization? And it's important to know that technology itself won't change mobilization. And I highlighted the word change, meaning the coming of tech won't make mobilization a different entity altogether. What it's going to do is that it's going to give us leverage and improved outcomes. So let me give you a good example. We had banking many years ago. Those of us who are probably in our 30s and above, when we started using banking was very, you have to go to a physical location where you put your money to withdraw your money. Then technology came in the probably last 15 years and began to do some transformations to banking. It did not change the core principle of banking. The core principles on which banking is built has not changed, but the entire experience of banking has totally been revolutionized. The way, I cannot explain to my daughter how we used to bank, how I had to go physically to a bank. If for those of you, let me use if you're in Nigeria, we have a bank called let's say First Bank. If I put my money in a branch of First Bank in my city and I happen to be in Lagos, no matter how desperate I am, I can't walk into a First Bank in Lagos to withdraw my money. In the olden days, I have to come back to the particular branch where I put my money to access it. So fine, the entire experience has changed. Now, young people cannot understand how we survived in that generation. But so it's the same thing. Technology just comes, it gives a new experience, it changes the way that sector works. Education, the core principles of education does not change and has not changed. However, the experience, I can sit in my city here in Uyo and get a degree from Harvard University without stepping foot on the soil of America. Yet I'm going to learn everything that Harvard University teaches. The content of education has not changed, but the experience has changed. It's the same thing, transportation. Transportation is moving from one place to the other. I need a taxi to go to the airport tomorrow. It's not going to change. I'm not going to disappear in my house and appear in the airport. I'm still going to get a taxi. But when technology comes into transportation, on a normal day, I'll have to go to the road, flag down a taxi to get into a taxi to get to the airport. But right now, I can pick up my phone and tap on my phone on an app, and a taxi is going to come to my house to pick me up. It has not changed transportation, but has changed the experience and the efficiency of transportation. That's what tech is going to do. Mobilization, the core of mobilization is not going to change. We are trying to get people who are not aware of the Great Commission to buy into this commission, and then to help people discover their place in the Great Commission. That is the assignment we have been given. But we're asking ourselves, how do we change outcomes? How do we change experience? How do we leverage technology to do it better? And every time technology is implemented right, both the deployer and the users benefit. So it will give mobilizers more reach to people, and to allow more people to be able to respond to missions. When technology came into banking, we, the customers that bank with the banks, are better off for it. I mean, I can access my money anywhere, I can move money anywhere, I can make payments anywhere. That's improved outcomes for me, the customer. But the banks are also happier. They can reach me wherever I am. I don't have to be in Nigeria to bank with a particular bank in Nigeria. I can move money from the US to Nairobi. I could be in Dubai and access my money in South Africa, all of those things. So whenever tech comes in, it's a win-win situation. The deployer and the user both benefit from technology. So when we are bringing tech to missions and to mobilization, understand that it's a win-win. You, the mobilizer, your work is getting easier, your life is getting easier, your outcomes are getting easier. But at the same time, the mission of God is advancing at a rate it will not have advanced if technology did not come in. And so we're not bringing in tech because we just want to say, okay, let's make this whole idea of missions mobilization funkified and, look so nice and techy and like business, like all of that. No. The reason why we are looking for better avenues is because we are on a mission. We're trying to make the Great Commission to achieve what it was intended to achieve. We understand that it's unexplainable that thousands of years after Jesus Christ gave us the Great Commission, we are still struggling to reach a significant percentage of people, some who have never heard the gospel for the first time. I mean, think about it. Some years ago, this is probably more than 10 years old. I think, way more than 10 years old. I think maybe this research was about 15 years ago. A research was carried out across the globe to find out the most popular brands on the earth. And the number one brand that was popular, the most popular brand then was Coca-Cola. Number 2 was Michael Jackson. Number 3 was Jesus. Global brand recognition. So more people knew Coca-Cola and knew Michael Jackson than knew Jesus across the world. I mean, Jesus lived 2,000 and something years ago. Coca-Cola is a few hundred years, maybe 100 and something years ago. Michael Jackson is not even 80 years old from when he was born. So understand the leverage. And so we're asking ourselves, how can we be here with all our resources, all our technology, all our advancement, and Jesus, the commission, the person that we represent, is not known all over the earth? That's the question we're trying to solve as mobilizers, and that's what we're trying to achieve. So we're asking ourselves, how does technology come in to give us that leverage? And I need to point this very clear here, that at any point in time, the mission will always be greater than the method. The mission will always supersede the method. And one of the problems that we have as a church over time is that we have become more committed to methods than to the mission. When Jesus Christ gave the Great Commission, he says, go into all the world and make disciples of all nations. What he gave us was a mandate, a mission. He did not give us methods. He didn't tell us how to do it. He didn't tell us, it's amazing to think that Jesus did not say, go and plant churches. I know when you say that now, it sounds very ridiculous. But Jesus did not say, go and plant churches. Planting churches was only a method for missions. So he said, make disciples of all nations. What does that mean? Let people know me. Let people be like me. Let people live like me. That is the mandate. Go into all the world and make people become like me. Now, at some point, planting churches was the most effective way of making disciples. So you go to a community, set up a place, gather people on particular days of the week, teach them together. And that's what the church is, that gathers in people's homes and in congregations. And we have assumed that Jesus said, go and plant churches. So when we tell people, God is calling me to be a missionary, or we need to go do missions, what comes to their mind first is go and plant churches. But that's not what Jesus Christ said. So we have to desensitize ourselves and remind ourselves that we have a mission, not methods. In today's world, there are going to be lots and lots and lots of methods. And methods vary. Methods vary based on time, based on location, based on scenario, based on... So we have several methods. First, for even preaching the gospel. So let's look at this. Missions don't change, but methods change. Missions are constant, methods are not. What we must be as a church and as the body of Christ is to be more loyal to the mission than to the method. Whenever a generation, an organization, or a people are more committed to methods than to mission, they get into trouble. Any organization that is more loyal to its method than to its mission is about to go extinct. Give you a good example. I live in Uyo right now. If I want to go to the supermarket in my city, there are many ways I could get there. Talking about transportation. Transportation is a mission. However, human beings must move. People have always been moving. People have always been, from the days of Abraham to the days of Jesus to the days of today. People must move. Transportation is going nowhere. There's nothing we're going to do about it. People must transport themselves. Communication is a mission. Whatever we do, human beings must communicate. But the means of communication are the methods. The means of transportation are the methods of transportation. I could take a bike. I could take a motorcycle. I could take a car. I could take a plane. I could take a ship. These are methods. So if I am in business, for example, and I think I'm in the taxi business, I'll be foolish to think I'm in taxi business. I'm not in taxi business. I'm in transportation business. Taxi is only a method of my doing business. And that's why when technologies like Bolt and Uber came around, they began to rock those models, because people owned cars and thought they were in taxi business. They forgot that they were in transportation business. And when Bolt and Uber came, they scattered that entire industry. And people who were committed to methods suddenly found themselves out of business. A popular case study in business is a company we call Kodak. Kodak was a film company. If you are probably 30 years and above, you know when we should take pictures, and when you take the picture, they take it to a lab, they go and wash it, and then they bring back the photograph to you like in 3 days, and you have something called negative. Kodak was the #1 manufacturer of negatives and films, and they didn't realize that film and negatives was only a method of the main mission. They were more in the photography or image memory retention business. Digital cameras came, our phones came, smartphones came, and suddenly people didn't need film anymore. Kodak went out of business. I think recently Kodak is rebranding to go into pharmaceuticals or to start making drugs or something. I'm not sure I'm current on that trend anymore. But that's what's going to happen to us if we become too loyal to methods. I need to make this foundation so that when we dive into the issue of technology in missions and in mobilization, we are not seeing the tool, but we are seeing what we're trying to achieve most. That's the foundation I needed to lay. So let's dive in. How does technology come to play in missions? So when we're talking about mobilization, and I think I listened to, or rather I caught up on, I think it was Kelvin Binder's session, that he gave us a framework for mobilization. We talked about mobilization, equipping, sending. There are 2 other ones, I think, evaluation. There's something in between before evaluation. I followed up on that to know. But I mean, talking about that entire framework, how does technology come in? The first thing we need to do is to ask ourselves the question, what are the core things we're trying to achieve as a people, as a body? What are the things we're trying to achieve? What is mission? What are mobilizers trying to achieve? Yeah, sorry, I had a glitch on my slide, so I have to take a pause there. So what I have here is a mission, what I call the mission mobilization cycle. I had done this and I looked at Kevin Binder's notes, and I think basically we're trying to say the same thing, just using different words. So this is the journey that a typical or an average Christian is going to make from zero knowledge of missions to active involvement in missions. Your journey as a mobilizer is to take each person from zero knowledge to active involvement. That's what we're trying to achieve. But this is the life cycle of the average Christian. Number 1, we have to attract them. Something, the average person who goes to church or lives their life normally is not aware of what God is doing around the world. Is not aware of God's mission. Is not aware of the need of the Great Commission and how Christ wants to be known all over the world. Our first assignment is we must attract them. This is where the interest of someone is captured. Somebody sees something, somebody hears something that makes them pause and say, hey guy, what's happening here? What are you seeing that I didn't know about? Something. So there has to be a point of attraction. And what do we use for this? Stories, short videos, skits, mission trips. So you come to a church, so you're a mobilizer, and you go to a church and say, I want to talk about missions. What's likely going to happen is they're going to give you 10 minutes to talk. The best you can do in 10 minutes is to attract, to get their attention. Do something, say something that will make their mind clear and say, okay, I think I want to hear more of whatever this guy is talking about. That's the first point in missions, attraction. Next, we go to educate. An attracted person is excited, but has little understanding of what missions is or what role he needs to play in this. So the next phase we move them into is, how do we educate people? How do we get them deeper? And when we're talking about education, we want them to understand God's mission, God's world, and God's work. I think it's William Carey who says, to understand the will of God, we need an open Bible and an open map. So Jesus said, go into all the world and make disciples of all nations. Yes, where is all the nations? We have to open the map. So after reading the Bible, we need to open the map. Where are the places in the world where people have not yet heard about Christ? And then how do we get there? What are the different roles people can play? And for that, people have built courses. We have courses like Explore, like Perspective, like Kairos. And sometimes we even do mission trips again to help educate people. So we're trying to pass the message of a particular place that needs the gospel, but they're not getting the picture, they're not getting it. So what do? Organize a mission trip. You know what, guys, can we take a week off? Let's go and see this place. When they come back, they understand it, they get it. What do we do next? We take an educated person who now understands what God is doing, but is asking the question, where do I fit? How do I come in? Now we have to get them to the point of equipping. This is where they prepare and say, okay, you know what? I think I want to be a goer. I want to go mobilize other people. I want to help people understand what I just understood, but they don't know how. So we have equipping programs. And what do we use here? Basically, schools of mission, schools of mobilization, translation courses, because most times people are not equipped for what they feel God is calling them to do. You are in this class today, probably because you felt God calling you into space of mobilization, but you did not know how. And you spent the last 10 weeks preparing for it. That is equipping. Something attracted you. You got to know some more. You have passed through this pipeline. You've got it. So you are more likely at this point of equipped now. And after these people have been equipped, what's the next thing? How do we deploy them into the place of service, into where they need to get active in ministry, connecting God's people to opportunities? Someone says, I feel I'm called to translate the Bible to one particular language in the world. But which language is it? How does this person go there? How do we connect him to an opportunity, to a framework, to a team, to a network? Someone says, I'm called to mobilize prayer. Fine. You're called to mobilize prayer. You have a team of people you are mobilizing to pray. What do you pray for? How do you pray? How do we follow up on that prayer? That's a launching, getting them to connect with networks. So we have Pray for Zero. We have Mission Enablers prayer meetings every Thursday. How do we connect them? How do we get them involved in that? That is the launching process. Now, this is a 4-point cycle, right? Of the mission mobilization cycle. The question now is, what tech tools can we plug into each level of the mobilization cycle? So let me go back to it. We have attraction, education, equipping, and launching. What tech tools? How do we use technology and media to attract people? How do we use technology and media to educate people? How do we use tech and media to equip people? And how do we use tech and media to launch people? And I know some of you have come here with high anticipation, you want to take notes, but I want to disappoint you that I'm going to leave you with more questions than answers. I'm going to leave you with more thoughts, because the technology space is one of the most dynamic spaces, the most rapidly changing spaces. In fact, one thing has recently come and has just gotten mainstay in the tech space: artificial intelligence. And to be honest, everybody right now is trying to understand artificial intelligence on a weekly basis. New tools are coming out. The tools are becoming too many for anybody to keep up with. Tool for this, for that, for that. So the questions are, you understand the mobilization process. Now I'm going to be guiding you to think, what can we plug into? What can we use at each point? So let's take the first point, attraction. What's the point of attraction? Basically, getting people's attraction. We can see examples in the Bible. God had a mission for Moses, but God could not send Moses until he had gotten Moses' attention. So God invented what? The burning bush. The burning bush had no other job, no other mission more than to attract Moses. Get this guy's attention. This guy is passing here. I'm sure that tree had been there and Moses had passed by that tree probably 100 times without noticing it. And God says, okay, I need to get this guy. So what do I do? And God created something to get his attention. The Samaritan woman that Jesus met by the well. I mean, Jesus needed to reach that city, but someone had to attract them. And she had one liner. Come and see the man who told me everything I have ever done. Her one liner was the attraction point. So think of it as people go online. They while away their time. I mean, if you know the data of how much people spend online, how many hours people spend online by generations, it's going to scare you. I don't want to bug you with those data right now. But I mean, people spend average of 7 hours online. Watching things, doing all manner of things. How do we get their attention? They are passing, going back and forth around across the internet. And we have a message, we have something to sell. How do we get their attention? What do we place as a magnet? What technology can we use? And basically, I think in this space, what I can suggest, for example, video clips, which is what we use. I mean, I remember, I don't know how many of you might have seen this, but there's one particular video clip that really, I mean, we used it. For me, it's one of those things that got my attention in those early days. It's called Tears of the Saints. It was like, I think a 6-minute video clip. So they played this song by, I think it's Leland, and had different pictures of different places and people. And that 6-minute video clip does more to people than a 15-20-minute sermon will do. They go home and they cannot sleep. So these are technologies. So when you have 10 minutes to talk to people about missions, your first assignment, if there are people who have not heard about missions before, your first assignment is not to try and jump to equip you. You're not trying to equip them for missions. You're not preparing them for missions yet. No. The first assignment is, what do I do to attract these people? How do I get their attention to get them to want to hear more? And that's where, so we have clips, we have skits, we have storytelling. So tech tools and technology here, storytelling and script writing. How do I craft a 2-minute short clip that at the end of this 2-minute short clip, somebody's clicking on a link or making a phone call or taking an action? And in fact, unfortunately, we don't even have the luxury of 2 minutes. The last time I checked, the attention span of people on the internet was 3 seconds. If you don't get their attention in the first 3 seconds, you don't have them. So when you are doing videos and your core message starts like 30 seconds into the video, I can guarantee you that nobody's watching your video. So you are doing an Instagram live, or you are doing a live, maybe a live video, and you're like, hey, hello everyone, good afternoon, my name, welcome. And 15 seconds, you're saying hello everyone. I can tell you that they have moved, they have left. When you're doing those things first, go right in and just hit, because you have to, you're trying to attract people. And I'm going to use some case studies here, case studies of things like, I mean, the way these comedians do it, these comedians, they understand this principle. And this is where we as Christians, particularly as mission mobilizers, we have to bring in that understanding of how the media and tech space works. This is a very diverse audience, so I'm careful not to use examples that are geographically limiting. But let me use examples. If you are here, if you're Nigerian, you probably know a comedian called Sabinus. I don't know if his impact has crossed borders now, and he's known by people, but you probably know Sabinus, you probably know Mr. Macaroni, probably know, I mean, all of these skit makers. Most times, you realize that when their clips come on social media, it's the first 5 seconds that gets you, and you say, okay, what are they saying? And for sometimes, they bring in a short 5 seconds clip, get your attention, then take you back to the beginning of the clip. And okay, now that you've gotten your attention, start watching to find out how we got here. So they do like a short clip and they're like, okay, how it started. So this is, I mean, these are trends that we have to study if we're going to make use of these same technologies. How do we make use of media? How do we make use of short clips? Let me give a good example. So Startup, where I saw your first episode of Young People in Missions. Fantastic episode where you're interviewing Roshegun. Good to know both of you are actually here in this meeting right now. And I saw that video, beautiful video. Now the problem is that video is about 30 minutes or thereabouts. How do we get people to listen to Shegun's story? Shegun's story is fantastic. Shegun's story is going to be very educative and enlightening. I mean, Shegun's story comes in at the education angle. But how do we attract somebody? We have to go and find where is the part in that 30-minute clip that Bro Shegun was saying something that somebody must not stop hearing, and bring it out and put it at the beginning, or make it like a short Instagram reel or something, and then use that to attract them to the point of watching that video. And at the risk of just sounding like a theory, I'm going to share one tool. It's actually on my screen. I've put everything on my screen. There's a particular tool called video.ai. It's an AI-powered video clipping tool. So how does it work? You know what? I'm going to do is I'm going to share a screen. Let me cancel this one. Just give me a second, guys. I'm going to share a screen where I am actually showing that particular tool, and let's see how it works. Okay, good. Okay, it's here. So I'm going to share that tool right now. Okay, so can you see my screen? I'm not sure.
It's coming up. It's showing sharing.
Oh, it was coming up. Oh, I didn't know that. Sorry. Let me
share again. It stopped. I think
yeah,
it
stopped.
Yeah.
Let me go back to it. All right. Okay, it says it's loading. Okay. So can you see this now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Okay, so yes, so this is a tool. Now, for those of you who are thinking, this guy is talking about video editing, talking about using short clips, how do I do it? Me, I don't know how to edit videos. I'm not a video editor. But you see, this particular tool is driven by artificial intelligence. It's an AI-powered tool. What do I need to do? I simply import a video. So I take a video. So this is a video of 16 minutes. What it does is just bring in you can even be a video on YouTube. So if I want to import a video, I can actually just go get the link from YouTube, bring it in here.
We need to get onto all of this.
And once I bring it in, you know what it does? It uses artificial intelligence to scan my video and cut out interesting short clip. This is 34 seconds. This is 58 seconds. This is 1 minute, 3 seconds. It scans the entire video and finds out where are the points where I was saying something interesting that might captivate people. And it cuts out those clips by itself. And not only does it cut out the clips, it gives you the subtitles by itself. So here you are learning to code at 10 years old. It took this clip and it put subtitles for it. So I can actually play this clip and hear what this guy is saying. What was your Scratch experience? What were you able to create with Scratch? So you see, it put the subtitles were done by itself. All I need to do when I'm done is I just simply come here, download my video, and I have a 34-second clip from that main video that I had. And I can post it on social media and link it to the main video. Once I have your attention in 34 seconds, I can actually send you back to the main video, and then you can now go and watch the longer video. So you are thinking, oh, we have to go and learn video editing, we have to go and learn all those big skills, which is why technology tools have come here to make your life easy. Video.ai gives you that power. In fact, when I started using it, people started asking me, guy, who's your video editor? I'm like, video editor. I have a staff. The staff is AI. I don't pay him salary. I just pay subscription fee of, the free version of it, I think gives you about 120 minutes per month. So you can actually upload videos up to either 100 minutes a month for free at no cost. When you want to start producing a lot of videos, that you're now required to go and start paying money to use these tools. So like I said at the beginning, the tools are actually there. So let me go back to my slide now. And but if you want to get this tool, it's there for free. Video.ai. It's there. So that's the tool. And you have another tool like charisma.ai. I think I'm going to show that one too. So charisma.ai is a tool that allows you to create videos, original videos, without a camera, with AI driven characters, with tools that's okay. I think it's Let me go back. Let me see if I can share a picture. I think I had Charisma. Good. So this is charisma.ai. So charisma.ai. Now you can see these videos. These are examples of videos that were created with AI. Now the way AI works is like you going to a kitchen with that has a lot of ingredients. Different tools can do different things. Are you aware that there are AI tools that, okay, let me not say AI tools. I'm sure, let me just ask you can put in the comment room. How many of you have heard of a tool called ChatGPT? I don't think that there should be anybody who has not heard about that tool at this point. Everybody should have heard. Good. ChatGPT is like the new child on the block. Everybody is using it. You've used it. But you see, these guys function like employees. You have an employee who has a skill, but this employee does not think for himself. You only have to give him instructions. So it's like you have a driver. Good, you have a driver, but your driver cannot decide where to go. You tell him, okay, please go to the supermarket and buy me maybe 15 gallons of water. Okay, please go to the dry cleaner and get my clothes. Go to the airport and pick my wife or something. You have to give that driver. The driver can drive, but if you don't tell the driver what to do or where to go, he doesn't know where to go to. I think that's the way AI works. AI has power. So ChatGPT, for example, you can do anything. You can tell it, write me a letter. We'll write you a letter. Write me a song to write you a song. So you can actually, so when it comes to creating captivating things, you can actually create scripts. You can create, okay, somebody's asking the spelling. It's charisma, it's CHR. It's actually on the slide, charisma.ch. So it's just charisma.ai. You can go there and you can create scripts on ChatGPT, take it to another AI tool that gives it voice, take it to another AI tool that gives it video, and within a few minutes, you have a full script and a full content that you didn't sit down to create. Those are tools. I think that if we're trying to attract people with technology to missions, some of the skills we must develop: storytelling and script writing skills, video editing skills, multimedia technologies. These are tools and technologies that are going to revolutionize how we attract people. If you have a mission trip, we go on that trip, someone should just use their phone to capture videos. We are entering bus, capture the video. We are eating food, capture the video. We are doing this. Come back, get someone, tell a story with a video. So you are going to market the next mission trip using a 60-second clip of the last mission trip. It's going to do more and going to reach more people than you probably will be able to reach if you try to preach 30 minutes about the experience you had on the trip. I want to run a little bit fast so that we can create a lot of time for questions at the end of the day. But basically, like I said, I'm going to be leaving you with more questions or more frameworks than specifics and say, okay, this is what to do, go here and do this and do that and do that. I'm giving you more questions. How do we attract people to the gospel, to the Great Commission, using media tools, using technology tools? Social media is, I could dive into social media, fantastic place, but I don't want to go that route right now. Let's go educating people. The next task in mission mobilization: how do we help people understand God's mission, God's world, and God's work? What tools can we use for that? This one, the answer is actually right in front of us. If people can go to school without leaving their homes, people can have entire master's degrees without leaving their countries from universities across the world, then we can actually provide fantastic education for people across the world. Look at what is happening right now. I hear somebody's in Pakistan, somebody's in Nairobi, somebody's in Douala, different parts of the world, all sitting down and getting access to what God is giving. For the last 10 weeks, these are case studies that we can go out of here and replicate. I can tell you for free, 5 years is even plenty. 5 years ago, we couldn't do this. I think it's actually COVID that gave us these gifts. Before COVID, we didn't have this luxury of, let's sit down, meetings. Anything we want to do, people are traveling. I remember flying to Lagos to attend a vigil for some. Those things were when you think of it right now, they are ridiculous. Somebody was organizing a prayer meeting and say he wanted all of us to be there to pray. And I flew from Uyo to Lagos in the evening, attended prayer meeting and flew back the next morning. And it's not as if I was speaking of, just to go and attend and pray with people. I'm not saying that, I'm not belittling the prayer of togetherness, but looking at what right now we can have, we have vigils across the world. People are connected from wherever they are. You've traveled out of the country, you can be part of it. These are tools. So talking about education, Online on-demand short courses like Kairos, like Perspectives. As I speak to you, we don't have those things online. We don't have Kairos online. I'm not aware. Pastor Nee, do we have them? I don't think so. Those things are still
No, they're not online. No, not yet.
They're not online. But do you know the power of Perspectives? Let me tell you what Perspective did for me. I was a 300 level student in the university. 2008, I attended a Perspective course. That was the day I decided I was going to be a missionary. That was the day I told myself, God, at this point, I am dropping my ambition to give you my own. I don't know what you want me to do. I don't know where you want to send me. But any day you need me, just tell me. And that was the day I remember making my commitment that whenever God calls me, wherever he sends me, however he needs me, I will respond. It's the power of those courses. Something that attracted me to go take a 1-week course on missions. Sat down there, came face to face with God's mission for the world, and I had to let go of please give me a second. I had to let go of my own ambitions and say, God, at this point, I want to do whatever you want me to do. Now, think of how many people will be able to get access to, okay, I see somebody saying that in Kenya, they're doing Kairos online in Kenya, and that's fantastic. COVID has given us that gift. I don't think we do it yet in Nigeria. I don't think we probably do it in many places, but it's showing that these things are possible. It's possible to get these things done, educate people and give them more access. Imagine how many persons our brethren in Kenya could have reached with those tools, probably more than they could have reached physically. Talk about cohort-based mission boot camps, things that people can gather people to leverage on those resources. I'm sure that for the last 10 weeks that you've had here, think of the different places the resource persons have been. You've had a resource person from different parts of the country, different parts of the world. All of that is made possible because of technology tools. So, I'm just stating something that are already obvious, but just to mention them because these are things that we can go out from here and use. Online school of mobilization, like the one we are in right now, fantastic case study. You can go out here and in your own scenario, how I want to reach people, I want to disciple business people, I want to mobilize people who are in business, who are entrepreneurs, who are students. What technology tools can I use? How do I walk them through the process? Like I said at the beginning, I'm going to leave you more with questions than answers. To go and check in the context in which you mobilize, how do you deploy these tools? And the beauty of them is that they don't even require any special skill anymore. The people who are doing these things now don't need to have gone to school. In those days, you must have studied one complex technical course. Right now, anybody with a degree in languages, you can create technology platforms that can reach people. You can use all of these tech tools. The next thing is talking about equipping people for ministry. How do we prepare people for ministry using technology? And this one is the one I think that we still have a little bit of a challenge with. Because when people want to become missionaries or they want to respond to God's call, we require them to get trained in missions. So sometimes tell them, go to mission school. And the average mission school that I know of is between 9 months to 1 year. That's how they run. And so the question we're asking is, how can we do that differently? And what limitations can we overcome with technology? And in the next slide, I'm just going to highlight some of them. So what are the current limitations we have? Location, resource persons, duration. These are 3. Now, I'm going to use myself as an example. When I decided, so in 2011, I had just finished my youth service, I'd gotten a job, and I felt that God was calling me to be a missionary. And I had volunteered to go to Chad to be a missionary in the country of Chad. One, the country spoke French and Arabic. I was going to work in an Arabic community in a French-speaking country. I didn't speak one French, I didn't speak one Arabic. 2, I needed to go through some trainings. And the entire idea of being a missionary required that I have to go for mission training. The mission training schools we had in Nigeria, for example, we have one in Jos, we have one in Ibadan, they are location specific. I was still working. And the question is, how do I get trained while still working? Those schools require that you have to go there physically. And so one of the questions is, how do we overcome that limitation of location? People want to respond to God's call. They want to become missionaries, but they have to train for 1 year. Do we have to move them to a physical location? Second problem is resource presence. In those mission schools, they keep gathering people from different places to come and teach. Of course, I know that we are already overcoming many of these challenges, but in some cases, in many places, they are still right there in front of us. And I think mostly for our mainline mission organizations, our frontline mission agencies, these are still major issues that we need to talk about and discuss and find ways to address. People have to travel to Jos to go and teach students who are studying at Ghana Rock Mission School. People have to travel to Ibadan to go and teach. Are there ways to overcome this? And then third, issue of duration. It's 1 year, it's 12 months. And I don't have the capacity to leave my job for 12 months, take 1 year of training before I go to the mission field. Is there a way that this can be modularized? And so I just give some options here. Is it possible to make hybrid mission schools? Now, not talking of just this one, mainline mission schools. Can we make them hybrid? Can we make them such that people come online just like we're doing this one now and make them, periodic? Okay, so we take some courses online and then we probably come for like a cohort meeting once a quarter. We meet for a weekend or for a full week and go back. These are possible. I know I'm talking a little bit beyond technology now. We're just talking about innovation that can come into those spaces. But why I'm bringing it in here is because if people are going to be training remotely, then there has to be technology coming into those spaces. Talk about resource persons. I know that there is a full mission school that runs on video. It's called Life School. Full mission curriculum running on video that people take right now. And then modular, can we do it weekly, little by little? So we take a course and graduate, take a course and graduate, take a course and graduate. Are there ways we can do those things? That talks about of training people and equipping people for ministry using technology tools. And then the last of them is launching people. How do we connect God's people to ministry opportunities? And this is a major place here where technology comes in. A lot of people who want to get involved in missions don't know the first step. What do I do? So most times they go online. And if you go online and search, how do I become a missionary? You are going to find very little resources. Very, very little resources you find online. A lot of skilled people who want to volunteer a short time in missions do not know where or how their skill is most needed. So I'm a software developer. I want to just be able to give like a week, maybe 10 hours a week or 10 hours a month to support a mission organization with my skills. Where do I find that organization? How do I get that done? Where do I deploy my skills? I'm a video editor. I want to help ministries who are trying to make videos. I can't leave my job, but I can work for them remotely. So how do they know me? How do I know them? These are questions that are there that have no answers. Many people want to give more to missions if they were aware of the needs and had easier ways to give. Do we have aggregator platforms? Do we have those platforms? I know a few organizations like Mission Enablers already have ways you can give on the website, go online, you can donate and things like that. But how do we make these things accessible? When you talk about mobilizing and probably enabling missions, a lot of missionaries struggle with support, raising support. And they tell you, oh, we have been forgotten on the mission field. And I ask myself, there's what they say, out of sight is out of mind. When people can't see you, they can't hear you, they're not in touch with you, they forget. How do we equip missionaries to be able to be in touch with people using social media, using email tools, using regular technology to keep people updated, newsletters? How do they keep people knowing what they are doing? And how do they help people to give? Can people automate their giving? So I have a page on a fintech platform. You want to support me with $5 every month or $10 every month? Just go in there, put your card every month, it bills you. These are simple tools that we can use to connect both those who want to support missionaries and the missionaries. But how do we make these tools frontline and help people to deploy them and use them? These are tasks, these are challenges for the mobilizer. Most times you are the mobilizer, you are the one. So you're talking to a missionary and he's complaining to you that, well, we're having issues raising support. How do you help them? You yourself need to know these tools, which is why I said at the beginning again, I'm going to leave you more with questions. Go and ask yourself, in the way I mobilize, in the place I mobilize, in my particular role in missions mobilization, how do I help God's people do better? How do I advance the cause of both the missionary, the ministry, and the gospel using technologies? And just a few things. Now, these are questions more. How do we innovate in this space? Do we have a mission opportunities directory, a place where we can go online and we just post mission opportunities? So a mission agency called Mission Enablers needs a video editor who can help them make videos, collect their raw videos and make clips. So somebody can come there and pick up those and say, oh, I'm interested in this. I want to volunteer for this. So more like a marketplace for mission opportunities. I mean, these things I'm talking about, I am not aware that they exist, but I'm just thinking as a business person in tech, what are ways that we can use the abilities that we have, the things that we are able to do, the way businesses work. We have marketplaces for products, for people that want to sell things. Can we have marketplaces for mission opportunities? Can we have a mission agencies database? So I want to volunteer in a Bible translation organization. What translation organizations are even in my country? Who is translating the Bible in my country that I can work with? We don't have those databases. I'm not aware of them. Do we have virtual internship opportunities where we can connect gospel people, church people, people who want to commit their skills to places where they can volunteer? I know we've been thinking with an idea like this with Pastor Nee for some time, saying, okay, can we create something where young people can come online and volunteer?
Valley. It was supposed to be the Kingdom Valley, like the
the Kingdom Valley. Talk about Silicon Valley, the Kingdom Valley, something where basically connecting tech guys, tech people to mission opportunities. I can tell you for free, a lot of mission agencies struggle with technology. Yet the church has a ton of tech talent sitting in church, looking for ways to connect their lives to something important. Many of them, money is not their problem. They make enough money to take care of themselves. So they're not looking for jobs. They're thinking, beyond the money I make, how can I be part of something significant? How can I be part of advancing the gospel? How can I be part of advancing the kingdom? And we're asking ourselves, well, they are there looking for opportunities. Agencies and missionaries are asking themselves, we don't have the skills, we don't have the tools. We want to make cartoons for children in local languages. We want to make Bible stories, animated Bible stories that can play videos, talk about the stories of the Bible for children in animation. We don't have those skills. The young boys and girls that have those skills are in church asking themselves, what can we do? How do we connect these two places, the need and the talent? So we talk about, do we need an organization? So now, for those of you in Nigeria, you know a company called Andela. So I was asking myself, can we have an Andela for missions? So it's a mission organization, but it's a tech company. It's a tech, but I mean, it does not do the regular missions, but what it does is it gathers talent. You know what? You want to volunteer for missions, volunteer talent, don't worry. Sign up in this organization. We're going to use our own connections to connect to all opportunities around the world for you to be part of the gospel and be part of missions and connect you to opportunities and link you up. And so that these things get done, the gospel advances, people are involved in missions. I think these are groundbreaking ways that we can innovate around media and technology to advance the gospel. You'll observe that I've been careful not to just come and list and say, okay, social media, websites, blogging. Those are, I feel that those are regular things that we can use, but I'm probably still going to talk about them just maybe in conclusion. But we need to think of new ways. How do we advance technology? How do we push the borders of technology and see how can we advance the gospel, missions, and get more people to hear the gospel using technology? Now, I'm going to highlight a few what I call high potential technologies that we need to explore for missions. These are tools that I think have been underused, underutilized, and we mobilizers are the ones who are going to be able to use these tools. VR, for example, virtual reality. We create experiences for students in school using VR. We can actually create mission trip experiences in VR. So what do? We go on a mission trip, record the entire mission experience in a 360-degree camera, and come and turn it into a VR experience. So somebody can come, go on a particular site, get a VR kit or go get a VR kit and immerse himself. People can travel to mission fields without leaving their countries, without leaving their cities. So you want to give them a tour of a particular location. VR technology is there. Okay. Just so I'm sure, am I speaking languages that people don't understand? I'm sure that, I think basically from what I've seen in the comments, people are getting me and I'm talking to the right audience. We'll talk about virtual reality. It's this technology where you plug in this set of goggles into your eyes and you are in an entirely different world. So I run a school, and in our school, we have a VR kit in practically every class. So when the teacher is talking about the pyramids of Egypt, maybe the pyramids and some sites, ancient sites, what we just do is we get a video online, a video on YouTube that takes people around there, plug it into the phone, into the VR, and the kids can actually wear it And they're like, oh, wow. They think they're in Egypt. They can walk around, turn around, see the top, see the ground, and all of those things. We can bring those technologies to missions and help people have better missional experiences with those technologies. Somebody's already giving it a name, Mission Vision Pro. I mean, that's the whole idea. If you buy the Vision, go and get a 360-degree camera, record it, put it on YouTube. We will use it. We will use those tools. And I mean, the body of Christ needs those kind of technologies. Sometimes because we don't use them because they don't exist. Talk about generative AI that generates videos, that generates audio, generates stories, that generates text and all of scripts, all of those things. We can use them to tell stories, to create fiction stories. You want to tell stories about something, you can actually create a story and tell AI, you know what, turn this experience into like a drama with 3 characters. AI will study your script. So let me give a clear example so that this is clear. So I can say, so I went into a supermarket or into a restaurant and this was the experience I had. Can you use this experience to create a script with 3 characters that replaces experience? You will be shocked what ChatGPT will give you. You will be amazed. It will read your experience and create drama for you with 3 characters. Take those characters, take it to another AI and say, okay, can you voice these 3 characters for me separately? 1 male, 1 female, 1 child. You will be amazed at what AI will give you. Give you voices, give you that character story, that drama. It will give you voice for it and take it to video. Now, using this voice, create a character for this. Go to things like the charisma. The tools are just there all around us. How do we maximize these tools to advance the gospel? There's something I say whenever I talk to Christians, particularly church leaders. And I think I said it at the beginning. Technology is neutral. It's neither good nor bad. We can use it. And when God said in Genesis 1:28, and he gave them, and he blessed man and gave them power and said, and authority, and says, dominate, rule over the earth, subdue everything. What that scripture means to me is that God has given us the permission to use anything and everything available on the face of the earth, especially for his glory, for his own purposes. So there's nothing available on earth that is sacred that cannot be used for the gospel. There's no tool that I will see. There's no tool that I'll come across that I cannot use for the gospel. It does not matter what they are doing with it. There's no technology. So I can see a technology and say, oh, wow. So bankers are using this now. And tech guy, okay, so how does it come into the gospel? Translation technologies. I mean, you can take an entire tract in your language and take it to translation tools and translate it to an entirely different language without knowing how to speak that language. These are tools. E-learning technologies. How can I build coaching programs, training programs, mentorship programs, discipleship programs, training programs using available technologies? If I want to do a workshop on available e-learning tools, we will not finish this night. Kajabi. The number of course platforms where you can put courses are just there. Which is why I said I don't want to just list and tell you, okay, one tool, this is one tool to use, one tool. I want to just give you more of a framework that we can go out there and ask ourselves questions. How can we push the boundaries of these things beyond where we are currently using them? How much are we limiting the gospel? And just so you know, from what I've seen on the chat group, the average person here is probably a millennial. There's an age gap. You're likely between 20 and 45. If there are more people above 45 in this meeting right now, I can almost bet, without doing a survey, that you're probably less than 20%. So we have a major, understand that the baton of the gospel is already in the hands of our generation. So there's nobody coming from anywhere that will come and do these things for us. If how will I put it? If we are asking ourselves, so these technologies are there, somebody will do it, somebody will create this thing, somebody will help us use them. Who is the person? Who is going to use them? If we don't use them, if these tools are there, people are building tools, people are creating tools, and then entrepreneurs out there are taking tools and applying to their business. So a school says we are spending so much money writing exams. What can we do? Can our students write exams online? And they cut off exam papers and all of those things, and they simply find existing technologies and apply to their own scenario. How do we apply these things to our own scenarios? What are you trying to achieve? At what level of mobilization are you? Who are you trying to mobilize? What tool can you use? That's basically what I'm trying to put in place this evening. And then talk about remote work and virtual communities. If people can work across the globe for the same purpose, we as missionaries, we as mobilizers can work on the same projects across the globe. I think that we are underestimating the power of remote work and virtual communities for missions. We still have that feeling that people still need to, thank God for people like Mission Enablers. You guys have come to change the narrative of missions and mobilization. We never had things like this for a long time. Now, your entire organization works remotely. The other day I was talking to Wale or so, and I was like, please, how where's you guys' office? And he laughed and said, our office here. We don't have office again. Everybody works from home. Now, if Mission Enablers can work from home and pull this together, imagine what we can do across the globe, across countries, working together. We can get things done. So technologies are there. I can list on and on. For each of these categories, there are specific tools that can be mentioned. But now, this is my concluding point here, and I'm gonna try to land on this, and then probably take questions and any inputs that we will have. So the impact of media and tech on missions is going to give us four implications for missions. Number one, is going to require us having new people in missions. There's a scripture I love very much. I've not read the Bible since I started. I think it's 1 Chronicles chapter 12, verse 1 and 2, where it says, and these are the men that God sent to David when he was in hiding. There were sons, they are some, I think, kingsmen of sons of Benjamin. They could haul stones with both the left and the right. They could shoot arrows with both the left and the right. So David had been in the stronghold, fighting for a long time. Fighting for his life, basically, running away from Saul. And he was now, God needed to give David the kingdom. God sent men to David. David didn't recruit them. God sent men to David to go, and if somebody has that scripture, you can just put it on the chat group so that anybody can. That scripture where God, I think it's first or second Chronicles 12, verse 1 and 2. It says, I know it's 12, so it's that first or second Chronicles. Can you help me confirm that scripture, please, so that I don't derail here. But God sent a different breed of people to David. This is instructive for me. David had been fighting. Regular human beings are either left-handed or right-handed. You can either write with the right or write with the left. The average human being cannot write with both hands. If we take a poll here, we're 51 in this meeting now. How many of you can write conveniently with left and right? Probably zero. If we are lucky, we can find 2, 3, 4 persons who are that skilled. But a time came and God sent those kind of people to David and said, David, so you've been fighting with regular people for a long time. Now I need to send you a different breed of people. These guys could shoot arrows with the left hand or with the right hand. What that means is that where the gospel is at this point, the challenge of missions right now is a challenge that is going to be requiring new types of people coming in to join us in missions and in mobilization. People with skills that the rest of us don't have. People with abilities the rest of us don't have. The problem now, it's not the problem. The caution is that we have to be very careful to recognize them when we see them, because they won't look like us. They're going to come. They may not look like us. They may not think like us. It's thank God for churches that have gone far, that have overcome that challenge. But you see, recently I was in a church and some young guys came to the church and they had their hair. These are guys, but it's become commonplace now. But they had their hair plaited or weaved or something. And I saw the look of the church leadership. Who are these guys? And I knew these guys, 3 of them. And I was telling myself, if only you know the gifts to the body that these 3 guys can be, you will look beyond their hair and ask God, what do we need these guys for? These were 3, let me use slang, bad software engineers. These guys can turn around the tech of that church 360 degrees. These guys entered the church, they moved, they relocated, the 3 of them work remotely. They figured out, look, we don't like the city we're living in. Let's go to a more gentle city where we can work. They all have international jobs, earning thousands of dollars a month. Even their tithe alone can change the fortune of that church. I think you are getting what I'm talking about. And they decided, okay, let's join and 3 of them came to that church and just entered the church casually. And the way they were treated and welcomed is like, you guys need to go and get born again, cut that hair and dress properly. I'm like, oh my God. If only whoever was responding to them have an idea of what gift these guys will have been or could be to the church. So in missions, we are going to be experiencing an influx of new people. If we are going to cross the borders, cross the barriers we are in now, new people are going to come on board. They may not look like us. They may not look like our typical stereotype of who a missionary is. You know that thinking of, okay, you're going to be a missionary, you must be this, you've gone to Bible school, gone to mission school, gone to this. And these guys are like, well. I think we should slow down a little bit and ask ourselves, who are the new people God is bringing? May we recognize them when they come. Because sometimes some of these new frontiers we're trying to cross, many of us don't have the capacity to cross the frontiers. We need these new people and God is sending them. Second thing is new tools. There are going to be new tools for the gospel, new tools for missions, new tools that we will need for our mobilization ministry. Things we have never used before. So we're saying, this one, for example, now we talked about the entire VR kit and something, and we probably will now have this mission trip via VR. Imagine somebody launching and say, mission trips via VR. The regular missionary whose only source of mobilizing people is taking them on physical mission trips will think, what is this one coming again? Why are you watering down this ministry we are doing? How do you want to tell people they should not come to mission field again? But excuse me, this guy can sit and wear VR goggles and have an experience. He will see that village, he will hear audio, he will see the village chief, he will see the church, he will see where the missionaries live. If that missionary house needed roofing or that church is uncompleted, he will see it in that VR without leaving Lagos. New tools for the gospel. We need to get to the point and start getting comfortable. When these tools begin to come in, we will ask ourselves, guys, I think we have to just get comfortable getting new things, new tools, new platforms. And when I say platforms now, I'm not talking about tools. When I say platforms, I'm talking about podiums. So right now, our platforms for ministry has been mostly the pulpit. Church has been the major platform for ministry. So the church, so most times we're sending out missionaries, they go out as pastors, they go set up a church. But we understand that in this time and season, I'm rounding off now. In this time and season, we have places that we cannot enter with the platform of the pulpit. We have people we cannot disciple with the platform of the pulpit. Now, why is it important for us as mobilizers? Because when we are recruiting missionaries, we should start recruiting people for the new platforms that the gospel requires. There are places where the gospel needs an economic platform. There are places where the gospel needs a technological platform. There are places where the gospel needs a governmental platform. So we need to start exploring the gospel business as mission, education as mission, government as mission. Maybe I should try to explain this a little bit better. So you have a church and you pastor a church in a particular community and you're discipling people. The average church meets twice a week, let's say 2 hours every week. So you have 4 hours of weekly discipleship contact. Let's even say your church is extreme, you meet 3 times a week. That's 6 hours a week of discipleship time. So the pastor meets with people 2 hours every day, 3 times a week for discipleship. So that pastor disciples people at a rate of 6 hours a week. In that same community, you plant a school and a teacher meets with students for 6 hours every day. Who is going to make disciples faster in that community? The teacher or the pastor? Of course, the answer is obvious. Now, in that case, we need pastors, missionaries going into those communities on the platform of education. That's what I mean by new platforms. So we are sending missionaries, but their platform is not a church. Their platform is not the pulpit. Their platform is the classroom. There are places, there are things we want to do. There's some level of impact we want to make for the gospel. And even businesses cannot make that impact. Only government has the power to make it. We need people who are going into government with the vision of, I want to use government as a platform for ministry, for missions. So when we are recruiting people for missions and mobilizing for missions, we need to understand the different platforms that exist and start mobilizing people for the different platforms. That's the impact of what we're trying to talk about. So when we're saying new tools, new platforms, all of these are new platforms that we need to recruit for, and then new methods. That's the last point I'm making. New methods. So new people, new tools, new platform, new methods. How do we do these things? How are we going to get these things done? This is where our tech tools come in, our different technologies come in. How do we preach? How do we disciple? How do we follow up? I mean, excuse me. I know people who are doing fantastic discipleship work, running prayer networks, running discipleship ministries. And when you look at the method they use initially, like, but this is not how Jesus told us to do it. Jesus did not tell us how. He only gave us what. That's why I said he gave us a mission, not methods. In the days of Jesus, Jesus trekked. If Jesus was alive today, I'm sure Jesus will use Twitter. So when he says follow me, he probably say, okay, follow me on Twitter to check me out on Twitter. But that's a joke anyway. That's by the way. But I think if Jesus was alive today, Jesus would be on Twitter. So understand that technology is a game changer. It's an enabler. It's an enhancer. Every industry that technology comes into, it turns it around. And the danger is this: when people don't adopt technology that comes into their space, they go extinct or they get left behind. As mission mobilizers, if these technologies come and we want to stay put on the ancient ways of doing things, we will likely get extinct, get our impact lowered, we won't be maximizing the abilities that God has given us. There are places that need to hear the gospel. There are people that need to hear the gospel. There are people that need to be recruited for the gospel. There is money in people's pocket that needs to be collected for the gospel. I mean, sometimes those things used to pain me. I see what people do with money and I'm like, oh, Father Lord, see money. And you know what this money can do? You know how many missionaries can be supported for 6 months with that money? You know how many primary schools can be? You know how many missionaries can be sent? You know how many Bibles can be bought with the same money? Excuse me, we don't blame them. I think we should take the responsibility. We as mobilizers, it's our fault. If people are not giving to missions, it's not their fault, it's us. We're not showing them what they need to see. We're not telling them what they need to hear, because you see, where your heart is, there your resources will go. So we need to get their heart, and that's why that framework is there. Attract them. If we're not attracted them to something, and we say that it's not possible for them to even give to those things. So I think that we need to go back to those frameworks, think about it, and think in terms of technologies. What can we use to advance attracting people for the gospel or to missions, educating them about God's work, God's word, and what God is doing, training them and equipping them for ministry, and then launching them and deploying them for the gospel. And in the light of this, what are the new people God is sending our way? What are the new tools available for us to use? What are the new platforms that we can maximize? And what are the methods that can be used for the gospel in this day and time? I believe that I've helped you say a few things. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope to answer questions.
How do we make and sustain disciples without so much being inclined to method and seemingly getting off the main factor, which is missions? I don't know if you want me to take that again. It's in the...
Yeah, I think I've seen the question. Yeah, I've seen it. It's in the Q&A.
Okay, awesome. You want to speak to
how do we make and sustain disciples without so much being inclined to method and seemingly getting off the main factor, which is mission? Yeah, so I think it's the question answered itself, if I would say, because we need to define disciples or make this. Just once we define discipleship properly, I think the question answers itself. Discipleship is not getting a label, it's not getting a title, it's not getting a nomenclature. It is basically becoming like a person.
Right.
So in the north of Nigeria, we have this system we call Almajiri system. Almajiri is the Hausa word for disciple. That actually means disciple. That's the real meaning of the word. So what it means is people who are trying to become like someone, right? When you look at the teachings of Jesus, you will notice that Jesus, there are some things Jesus did not say, which we are saying today. For example, the word born again. Are you aware that Jesus himself used that word only once in the entire Bible? And even that, used it in the midnight to a Pharisee. No other person heard it, only him and the Pharisee. So it's that's not a method. What I'm saying is sometimes the main focus of discipleship, if you go back to what Jesus did, is look at the Sermon on the Mount, one of Jesus' longest teachings. What was Jesus doing? You have been told by the law, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. But I say, love your enemies. You have been told, do this, but I say, do this. You have been told. What was Jesus doing basically? He was basically giving people a new value system by which to live. That's what he did. And he used that process to make his disciples become like him. So suddenly the disciples began to value the things that Jesus valued. Please, I'm trying to explain that person. So now that is the entire discipleship process. Somebody asked a question the other day and said, at what point did Peter get born again? What was the point of, as in, I don't know if you get it, do you get that question?
Yeah.
Jesus saw Peter by the boat and said, follow me. And in the following process, what was Peter doing? Seeing and observing and becoming like.
Right.
There was no point of, hey, this is the sinner's prayer time. So Peter, today, now you are saved. You are not. So when we look at it that way, when we say, how do we sustain making disciples without focusing on methods? We just simply ask ourselves, what are the predominant methods that we currently use to make disciples? Are we encamping around those methods? Like I said, one good example is churches. Churches are a fantastic way of making disciples. Please don't get me wrong. I'm not saying we should not plant churches. Churches are one of the most effective ways of making disciples. Why? Because you can mass produce disciples in churches. You teach them the same thing and they all hear the same thing. But you see, church planting is a method. When the focus shifts from people becoming like Jesus to them coming to church, trouble has started. When the activity becomes that the church is more important than the person they are becoming like, that's when we start missing it. So it all becomes about the church. It's not about the church. You know what? Church cell group, meetings, unit, and all those things. And eventually we bombard people with activities that encamp them around a method, not on the focus of becoming like Jesus. That's where trouble starts. So when the person asks and says, how do we make disciples and sustain and keep focus on the mission, not the method? It's just to keep on checking and ask ourselves, what we are doing now, is it mission focused or method serving? Everything you want to do, ask yourself. So this meeting, for example, was this meeting a method serving meeting or a mission focused meeting? That will tell you the priority to place on it. Understand that this was not about to make people attend this meeting. They're not trying to become members of mission enablers. That's not the goal. We're trying to multiply disciples, mobilizers. That is mission. You see, when an activity, so when an outreach is driven by saying, after this outreach, let them become members of the church. That is the ultimate goal. Now, becoming members of the church is not a bad thing if that is the way that they will become disciples. But if they are becoming disciples is not as important as becoming members of the church, that's a method serving outreach.
Right.
So it's to weigh every activity we do against that backdrop of, is this mission focused or method serving? When we do that, I think we'll be able to keep ourselves in check constantly to know whether what we are doing is driven by method or by mission.